G'day viewers, today we're joined by Kammy Cordner-Hunt. She, at the most recent election, federally, she was the #1 Victorian Senate candidate for Fusion. Kammy's been involved in politics.
Number two, your humility is like overwhelming.
But what was the sign when the previous guest was #2?
I thought you were #1.
Oh, so Kammy ran for Senate and I ran for... Anyway. But anyway, back to the point. So today we're going to chat about refugees, evil. We're going to place some bets on World War III. What's ahead? Kammy, I'm excited. G'day listeners, welcome to My First Party, the podcast where we meet people at the grassroots of politics. My name's Owen Miller, I'm a candidate for the Fusion Party. With us as usual, the Oracle of Wisdom, Mr. Peter Kargiotis. So Kammy, I think this is maybe number 5 for Fusion guests coming here. Hopefully the best yet. So we were saying before, Kammy, you're running for the Senate in our most recent election. Although I guess how many elections is it now that you've run for in total?
3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 29. Oh, I did actually.
What is Fusion?
So that's as Fusion. So in the past, I have also done a couple of elections for. Shall I say?
Yeah. Well, you guys are like from different parties, right?
Oh no, we mean further back. Yeah.
Oh right.
The Greens. I did stand for the Greens at state level in 2006 and 2010 in the country, in a country area, which was a national party area. The national candidate was very, very popular. Had been in position for a long time and got 76% of the primary vote.
Oh wow, yeah, that's even. I wonder who's the highest at the moment. Because Bob Catter, he's pretty popular with his people, isn't he?
Yes, he probably is. Yeah.
I guess his people. He'll punch you if you define that the wrong way.
There must be a record, not in a dictatorship, of the highest number of primary votes somewhere in Australian history.
Like Bjelke Peterson or someone like that. Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, don't you think it's incredible, by the way? Like all the major parties, they have such horrid histories of, this corruption and people going to jail and everything. When we mentioned Joe Bjelke Peterson, for foreign listeners who aren't aware, so he used to be Premier of Queensland. Then, things started to fall apart.
He did love a gerrymander.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was very good for gerrymanders up there. They used to change the zones to make sure the paper envelopes fell in the right areas. Yeah, him and Russ Hinds and the like.
Well, actually, Peter, you probably know more about this than I do. So
here we go.
I got the impression that things really started to go off the rails when Joe started running for Prime Minister, so federal parliament.
Yes.
Because I guess he must have been surrounded by yes men to get the impression he could be Prime Minister. And then, once I guess he, ruffled the feathers of the wrong people in Canberra, that's when I guess pieces started to fall apart in his Queensland empire. Is it?
Well, true, but at the time, you also got to remember there was a big push by those who run things to get Labor in charge, right? Because they wanted...
Oh, federally.
Yeah, federally, because that's where it was running federally. So whoever, wanted powers to be, they wanted the Labor Party to come in under the Hawke-Keating power to get the Accord in. To suppress all the wages at that time.
Oh, so
we're going through a bit of a recession in that 83 period. So
this was just before Hawke and Keating, was it?
Well, he was around that time. He was running at that time. So he did take away from the LNP vote because he came in as a sort of third big contender that sort of ate away at their votes. But really the big push from all media and everything was really to get the Hawke-Keating government in at that time. For a purpose, like as we've said in the past when we had our Lambros Labor guy in, and I was telling him, Labor came in with a purpose back then. They were brought in to suppress wages.
Yeah. It's Kammy, you've seen Labor and Liberal being pretty similar over the years.
Yeah, I suppose it's much more apparent now, but I don't think we knew what they were doing all those years ago. We didn't. There's just so much more information around now. There's people able to report on it, whereas we were limited to what the newspapers told us, or television programs. So it wasn't apparent that they were both the same, both are corrupt, both doing the same thing, and maybe they weren't as much as they are now. I think we're evolving this way.
Well, I think, and as was pointed out to Lambros, you just have to look when Labor has ever been in politics, in government rather, and so it's whenever there's a crisis, whether it's war or austerity measures, that's when Labor gets put in power here. So, once when they had the currency that they, supported the working class to get them to go and fight for government, fight for the country, for God and country, or we all got to support the country and don't ask for extra pay, because there's a recession going on. Labor comes in.
So you're suggesting there's some kind of...
No, I'm not suggesting. I'm telling you. So even when Rudd was going to become Prime Minister, he had to go and seek Murdoch's approval. He went to New York. So again, these are just tells, right? Obvious tells that in order to become in power, you have to win at that time when obviously Murdoch had major influence, those in charge to say, who do you want in and why? So they brought the Hawke-Keating government in because Hawke was never going to be Prime Minister. Hayden was going to be Prime Minister at that time, right? He was a shoo-in.
Oh, okay.
And they brought Hawke in, who was the ACTU president, because they knew he could control the unions and say, right, you need to bring in the Accord, which was going to suppress wages for the forward years.
They're going to believe you if you do it.
And they did it. And they brought in the Accord, which suppressed workers' wages. And they've kept that under control since. So they did it on purpose. It was intentional.
Okay, so there's a kind of good cop, bad cop. So the strategy is the two parties. One lets you do what you want, but we've got this other party here when we actually want to control it.
And the myth was up until lockdown, when, the LNP was pushing the wheelbarrow that, we're the economic managers, right? And then they said, oh, it's fugazi. Money, we just make money up. We just give it to anyone, right? And after the last LNP government, they created the biggest debt Australia's ever seen because then it didn't matter anymore.
Oh, sorry, the Labor government created the
LNP.
Scott Morrison.
Scott Morrison, biggest debt Australia's ever seen, right? Because now the myth that the LNP were economic managers, which is a farce, because actually the Hockey government, when he was treasurer, created the biggest debt. A lie, it was even before him. Okay. So it was a myth, but they just kept peddling out that if you want management of the economy, give it to the LNP. But now they haven't even got a leg to stand on. They've got this myth that, one nation's going to be a threat. Like, Albanese, tell us what your policies are. Stop scaremongering about one nation. They're not going to win anything. But he's got nothing because... No, it's not.
I think, so one nation might, but then...
no, they won't.
Oh, it's a question for Kammy. So Kammy, have you noticed, I get all the different parties' emails. I noticed, the Teals and the Greens, their messaging these past few months has been heavily towards, we must stop one nation. And, it makes me question, what do you have to offer? Whatever you're pitching, why don't you just run on that? Why is it all about, we got to bash one nation? I mean, one nation's not my favorite party, but I have my own policies.
Yeah, that's interesting. I suppose that's because they can see how the media is ramping up in favour of it. And that is a massive tsunami that you're up against. So
aren't they making it worse by keeping the conversation about one nation?
Possibly, but if they don't make people aware that the one nation thing is being thrust down your throat, then people might actually believe that one nation is the answer. So by raising the fact that actually one nation isn't the answer, they're just giving an alternative view.
No, I disagree with both of you. I'm sorry, making your point, because I'm actually saying that one nation isn't a viable political force, right? They're not going to win an election. They may get a seat here or there. The fact is, like the Albanese government, what 90 odd seats, right?
Yeah.
So they've got a massive majority to implement transformational policies.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Oh, actually, I heard
No, answer the question.
Yeah.
Where is it? They don't exist.
Well, yeah, not
in
at
the
the
second
moment,
term, they don't exist. And all they're currently still doing, like the Teals or anyone else, is creating this smokescreen about, we've got to create, no division. It's the scaremongering of, it's the new kids overboard, right?
Oh, yeah. The new thing to be worried about.
Let's call it what it is. Australia is fundamentally at best xenophobic and has racist tendencies that they all pull at. And this is just another aspect of what he's doing. He's throwing that conversation about what Australia,
Albanese is.
Yeah. Because he's not putting his own policies in transformational change.
Oh, yeah.
Because they could attack, the gas issue and say, let's put a tax on. Even the stuff that we sell to Japan that they're profiting off.
Yeah.
But he won't.
Well, it's so listeners might not be aware. So the East Coast Australian gas, some of that gets sent to Japan. They can resell it at a profit. Like, what the hell? That points towards, like, we sold it for too little in the first place.
They don't pay tax on that either.
Yeah, so you see, Qatar, they generate so much more royalties for their natural gas. Although, yeah, like with the recent conflict, some of that got knocked out, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's gonna
Which we're part of, right? Because we've sent planes.
The electronic warfare aircraft, yeah. Actually, on that point, listeners, maybe you want to bet against me as well. I can't put any more money towards this, but I think you weren't here at this part last night, Peter.
No, but I did see something you posted.
Okay, so I have a bet. Listeners, let me know. Kammy, I don't think you were part of this.
No.
Okay, my bet is, so what day is it today? Today's the 29th of March when we're filming this.
Yep.
My bet is that the US or Israel is going to bomb one of, they're going to bomb one of Iran, Yemen, or Lebanon within 3 months of yesterday with either a nuclear bomb or a dirty bomb. Kammy, what do you think is the likelihood of this?
So you've got the feeling that they're just itching to create an excuse to unleash their power.
I would frame it more. So Israel, they're running out of the defensive, like, blocking.
The Iron Dome.
Yeah. And so, if Iran starts hitting Israel even harder, how's Israel supposed to fight back? I think they're going to resort to a nuke.
I really want to ask the question of any Israeli rabbi, where the fuck's their God to protect them in all of this?
Oh, no, this is some sort of prophecy coming true, isn't it?
Yeah, but why do they need, like, these military? Like, their God's probably better than any other Abrahamic version of Islamic God. Why do they need, since it's all prophesied that this land and the expansion of Israel is prophesied that this land is their land, like, why do they need an Iron Dome? Like, why can't he just come in and intervene like he used to pass miracles and shit, right? And, like, part the sea and all that crap.
He still appears on toast.
Exactly, but I want him to actually come and create some good dome, like, Yarmulke kind of thing, over the top of Jerusalem, so no bombs come in. So if it is prophesized and it is, bequeathed to them by their God, like, come in and intervene.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not anti-Semitic, because I'm actually saying for Israel, if this is what they're basing it on, to have, like, this apartheid state that's purely based on that, then show us.
Yeah. Well, we should get Andrew back. I would be interested to hear his thoughts on that.
From the Omni Party?
Yeah.
I think
Andrew
so.
Andre.
And also your other colleague.
Evil stopping him. The evil, which is everyone else, is stopping him. Being able to show his powers.
Well, again, maybe your other fusion friend who's running the policy.
Yeah.
He'd be good to get back on.
Yeah. Interesting, yeah. But, sorry, who's shielding his powers, Kammy?
The rabbis, Peter's talking about rabbis, believing in God protecting them and choosing them, and the fact that he isn't there to do that for them, he's not manifesting, is because of the evil that's preventing him to do it, which is the rest of the world.
But an indifferent God. I'd unsubscribe if I was part of that.
But, well, actually, speaking of unsubscribing, I don't think you were there. I was mentioning this theory to you yesterday. If you was telling me if you, if you was telling me if you agree with this theory as well. Okay. So during the federal election back in May, many people were asking, like, what's your stance towards, Israel, Palestine, and all this? And the socialists they were encouraging me to say that we should kick out Pine Gap from the US,
Australia,
get rid of the American bases. And I was saying to them, like, okay, sure, if you want to be less involved with the US, sure, that's an approach you could take. But people get assassinated. Right? People have been assassinated for less.
Well, Gough Whitlam was ousted.
Yeah. And so, I care a lot about Australia. I'm willing to, serve my country, but, like...
Would you?
I can't...
Would you join the army?
Yeah.
Would you?
Also, back...
No, just answer the question. Would you?
Yeah, I'm telling you. So, I did an internship during my university studies. I served with the Defence Science and Technology Organisation for 12 weeks.
Why?
It was interesting. And
No. What I'm saying in principle, why would you serve this country militarily? So you would be willing to go and kill other people for the interests of Australia?
Someone has to.
Wow. Oh my God! Like I've told you, I'm more gay than you. Like I've said it before. Like you would go and kill other people for like
I mean, the purpose is
economic reasons for Australia, because Australia, like apart from World War II when the Japanese like attacked Darwin, Australia's never been attacked, right? We've always gone and invaded other people for economic reasons, right? You understand?
Well, I mean, that doesn't like inspire me, sure.
No, I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. Out of principle, why would you go and kill other workers
Not
effectively?
go and kill, stand and kill if they're invading. But no one's going to invade us. Like,
Oh, no, that's what I said. No one has ever invaded Australia. So every
Well,
time
besides Japan.
I made that point. So let's put a caveat around that. So Australia, every time we've gone to conflict throughout our history, there's been a lot, right? Most of the time we've been backing the US. It's been for economic reasons, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen multiple oil conflicts, including the one now.
Yeah.
And we know Penny Wong's double talk of what everything's going on. And you're saying you'd be willing, in principle, to go and do the same.
I should clarify this. Okay, I agree with you that Australia's military has been misused many times.
No, Australia's military is no different to the US military, to every other industrial military program that's out there. And that's why we're now part of AUKUS, which we're not even getting. We're just paying to be part of.
Yeah.
And as Penny Wong says, the bombs that fall on Palestine, we didn't make the bombs. We just made the air fresheners on the cushion seats. So we're not part of the parts of the planes that killed the people. We just made the comfortable parts of the plane. So we are part of it. We're just in a more rational part of it.
Yeah, so
So rationalize it any way you want. You're part of the killing machine for the corporations.
okay, I will agree with you that, like, let's say the Vietnam War, the Korean War, these didn't.
Any of the Iraq wars, anything that was
sure.
to do with 9/11, which changed the face of humanity as far as we started attacking people across that oil-rich area out of nothing more than an emotion, terror.
Okay.
Right? Terror and fear.
So
there was no enemy, there was terror and fear.
Yeah. So, okay, I will agree with you that Australia's military has been, misused over the years.
That's what it's for.
Okay, sure. Sure. I would be willing to go that far. I'm saying I love Australia, and if I had to, fight to defend Australia, I would.
that's nice to know.
Yeah, okay. But where were we going? Oh yeah, so a theory I had yesterday.
Okay, what was the theory?
So okay, when the socialists were saying, we should kick out Pine Gap, and I'm saying that if I was getting more than 1% of the vote in Wales, then if I was saying that let's kick out Pine Gap, then I might be assassinated, or people might make up some dirt. And then I'd have to.
It's like you're a right-wing kind of fascist.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they were the Liberal woman, Jane Hume. She's now their deputy leader. So back in the Aston election, she was in Parliament saying that I'm a terrorist sympathiser, and thankfully that didn't detract too much from my
You
votes.
got mentioned in Parliament. You took the name Fusion into Parliament.
Yeah, I guess it might be the first time. Yeah,
Wow.
maybe.
That's fantastic.
Anyway, viewers, I'm not a terrorist sympathiser. I think. But what if they had this dirt going against me if I was going to say, let's kick out Pine Gap. So, okay, the theory is, what if, so Australia is beholden to the US because anyone who wants to weaken that relationship is going to be, pushed away. And then what if America and Israel are in the same relationship? What if the US might like to be less beholden to Israel?
Oh, it's anti-Semitic. That's like hate speech to begin with.
Okay, but
No, I think that's very a very interesting point to raise.
because Netanyahu, is good mates with Jared Kushner, Trump, and so what if we had who was the guest? Neil Thanadar. So his father is a US congressman in Minnesota,
American dude,
and so something had come up. So Sri Thanadar, the father, he had been one of the sponsors for this bill that the US should stop giving money to Israel, and then did a complete backflip later. He had a lobby-funded trip to Israel, and then was pro-Israel. If they can flip these people
So what do
so
they do on
readily.
those funded trips? Do they actually point out to you how vulnerable your family is or something,
Probably, yeah.
so that you come back?
Well, maybe they just got Epsteined.
Yeah.
Honey, they got honey
Honey
potted.
potted. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to get honey potted?
I don't think so.
What?
No.
I,
Get your soul out.
I still want to do things in politics for the years to come, and we have a lot to do.
Yeah.
Speaking
Okay.
of that, by the way, so Kammy, some of your work over the years. So you finished your master's thesis. That would have been what, like a year and a half ago,
Yes.
maybe? Yeah. What was your thesis title?
The unaccountability of corporations in the commitment of human rights abuses.
And I guess lots of work still remaining there. Yeah.
Yes,
You don't
yes.
want to get honeypotted either.
Yeah, that was interesting. So I was doing a Masters of Human Rights, and we covered a wide range of subjects in the core thing over 3 years, and then we had to choose a subject for our final paper. And during that time, I'd become really interested in where refugees were coming from. Like there was something like 10 or 11. No, it was even lower. 10 million refugees maybe in 2010. All around the world. That's a huge number, and for the world to try and accommodate and help.
How many?
About 10 million.
I thought it would be more. I was surprised.
This is about 2010.
Okay.
And 2014, when I was completing that number had risen to 110 million.
Yeah.
And so there's just been this massive escalation in what causes refugeeism. And that was when you get into this minefield of it is the global north and their corporations and what they do in the countries they go into to
Destabilise.
yeah, they're going in there to help develop. They're being honourable. That's how they present themselves. They're helping these countries step up and join the international economic market and place and lift their people out of poverty. That's what they're going in there for, ostensibly.
The IMF's brilliant at that.
Yeah, and then of course when they're in that, they just act unbelievably unconscionably in every possible way you can imagine. And
Well, yeah, you were talking about police, killing protesters. These countries being like locked into terrible laws and exploitation.
yes, exactly. So when did I have to say that? Did you read it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's right. So they work on the systems within that country, and they end up getting the police acting as their own police. There's their own military force, so that the police are then militarized against their own people in protecting corporations' interests, and they're murdering, and of course there's never any accountability. These murders just happen because these people are of no value to the global financial system, so they're just.
And you want to join that?
Well, I should say, so the thought that comes to mind is it would be very hard for people in these countries to realize, how bad their situation is, that it could be better, that, I guess it doesn't have to be like that. Many of them might think that this is just the way the world is, or the way life is.
No.
Oh, you don't think so? Oh, okay. Well, how come they don't have bigger and more frequent protests?
Because they've got a gun in the back of their head.
Yeah, but look at in Iran recently, what was it, 30,000 protesters died?
So we're told. What
Is that? Yeah, I was going to say, is that confirmed?
Yeah. Just because that's like what.
That's the news.
Because that's what the
That's the
ABC
Western
News
news.
told us.
Yeah.
You're saying it's more?
No.
We have no idea what happened, really. Actually,
So
my point is that
my point is even the fact that even just how they present that story, the U.S. government has told us blah 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 about the regime in Iran, right? So even the fact that they just call one a regime versus the government, just even that headline alone, right? So it's just even the bias just from those snippets presents one as evil. And again, I'm not saying that what goes on in Iran is great or anything, but you got soldiers in America going around arresting and shooting their own citizens now.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not having a discussion about what's good or bad, but I'm just talking about the language and discourse that's used to present one over the other. So when you hear then what they're saying to us about that country, even from the outset, you got to say, well, I can't believe your source when you're just calling it a regime. Why can't you say the Iranian government?
Yeah, you see a lot of that stuff. What is it, 500 Lebanese dead, while 2 IDF soldiers were killed. Or even
the language now. Israel, has launched raids into South Lebanon. It's like no, they've attacked a foreign country,
They're invading,
Lebanon.
yeah.
Lebanon. It's not South Lebanon because now you're going to annex that and try to make it into our head that it's
South
part of
Lebanon's different.
Yeah. It's different because it's part of the broader, greater Israel that we want to create. No, they're just setting it up to create that consent for all of us that eventually it's like, oh, it wasn't part of Lebanon, it was part of South Lebanon, which effectively was part of greater Israel. No, fuck you. It's that language that you got to start being more discerning about and say, well, why are they using that? And just because it has like the ABC on it doesn't mean they're any different. They're paid by the government. They are a government agency.
I guess, I think people worldwide need to realize, like, we're living not quite a simulation, but like, all these people are lying to us. We saw recently with the Epstein files, like, all these conspiracy theories about, this cabal running the world.
That is the one thing that the whole Israel-Palestine thing has made totally transparent. Apart from, I was saying earlier, the death and destruction that's gone on, it's proven that the media has been lying to everyone, right? And so then people can make a moral decision to say, well, okay, where does my sort of moral compass sit on this? And the fact that we've condoned it means it's going to happen to us in iterations over here as well. And we saw in Sydney where the police charged protesters and locked them in and then charged at them. That's beginning over here because we condone the stuff over there.
Yeah, there are plenty of stuff to resist. So I guess, it reminds me when we were talking before about, parties like One Nation, they get, I think they don't focus enough on like these world-changing events.
No, they just pick on slogans and try and tease.
They have no policy at all.
And outrage and get the result from us that they want. I didn't finish my story. So once you militarize your local police against your civilians, then civilians have to leave. So they try and get out of their country. Because,
they often leave,
Yeah. So that's how. So the corporations have had no accountability at all, and they're just getting away with absolutely everything. So they are increasing these actions so that these people are more and more getting forced out of their countries. That's how refugeeism is escalating so much so quickly. So, I mean, there'll be refugees from Israel in a minute. There would be refugees from Palestine, except that they're not allowed out. There'll be Iranians running away from Iran, there'll be Lebanese running away, and all these people are fleeing because of the global North's wars of ego and profit and...
Well, just to fact check, the refugees in Palestine, Gaza is all refugees. They were refugees because they were ousted by the Israeli settlers and forced into Gaza and in an open prison. And that's why then they're like, well, now we want them out of there because we want that land. How do we get them out of there? Let's just bomb them out. They were all refugees in there to begin with.
Interesting, yeah, pretty depressing stuff. But so I wanted to actually, so when we were talking about, like living in a simulation and like how do you fight back and all this, I guess, Kammy, you were saying that, these people become refugees and leave their countries. What do you think? I think we might have discussed previously on the podcast, Haiti. So one half of the island of, I wish we had the fact check. I can't remember. Anyway, so Haiti, it's an island in the Caribbean, half an island in the Caribbean. But from what I recall correctly, they're the only country to ever overthrow their enslave their overlords. But then, unfortunately, it still didn't work out nicely. So they overthrew the French colonists. But then, France still had a navy and everything, and they demanded
compensation.
Yeah, they demanded that Haiti keep paying them these exorbitant fees for years afterwards.
200 years.
And
they've only just finished paying them.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. And so I guess, even though Haiti got its, somewhat freedom, it still stayed poor for centuries.
There's English families too, also, who were slave owners, who are still getting paid by the small countries that they left as compensation for having given up slavery in those countries.
So I wonder then, Kammy, one possible solution, like if your country is being oppressed, one solution is, for you yourself to just run away as a refugee. Another option is to have like a big overthrow of the government, like in Haiti. Do you see any other options? And like, because I guess as well, like what happens if, so what would you say is a typical flow? Let's say a country's being oppressed, a bunch of people manage to leave as refugees, And then, like, how can the country ever, like, turn back into success? Like, is that even possible?
Yeah, that is really hard. Well, I mean, obviously that's what's happened in Vietnam. So America went in and did their thing in Vietnam. There was a lot of Vietnamese refugees going all over the world. And certainly we have a lot of them in Melbourne, and they have grown into Melburnians and Australians, multi-generational, and I can't imagine them going back to fight for Vietnam. But what was left behind in Vietnam has created what appears to be a wonderful democratic country with equality and dignity and mutual respect. And no one's looking at them. No one cares about them anymore. They're off the radar for the global north, the great powers, and they're living their best lives. So, I mean, I suppose, how long's that? So it was 1976, I think, or 75 that eventually America left Vietnam. And so that's 50 years, yeah.
And then, did the communists end up taking hold of South Vietnam when the Americans?
Yeah.
Are they still communists?
Well, look, before that, obviously, it was a French colony, and the French were defeated, and that's when the Americans moved in. So, you know, it didn't just happen that, you know, once the Americans left, because obviously then the embargoes come on like they've done to other countries, like whether it's Cuba or even the former state of Yugoslavia, right? The nation of Yugoslavia. Like a lot of people want to just say, oh yeah, the reason why Yugoslavia broke up was because of, you know, religious intolerance between the Serbs and the Croats. But, you know, you got to remember, once the USSR fell, Yugoslavia was like the last beacon, if you like, of socialism, right? And America, and well, let's say the Western powers, put these rules on Yugoslavia that said, well, if you want to trade, you have to change your economic structure in there, and that included cutting the payments that they would put as part of their social plan, as far as the free healthcare and things like that, which changed like a lot. They put austerity measures in there. That changed then their society. Then that obviously, and then they funded other internal groups, which caused the turmoil. So what we saw as the fighting, that was like the end bit. So it was all the other economic stuff that went on. So yeah, Vietnam now is obviously economically getting better, but we can't sort of forget about all the other things that, you know, the powers that be and what they put on to actually keep that oppression.
Can I just say that Vietnam getting economically better shouldn't be the benchmark of success? That
No, lifestyle.
what's happening in Vietnam is well-being.
No, I'm saying their lifestyle. But again, if there's austerity measures being put on you, which is driven by economic force by other countries, whether it's embargoes. So when there's austerity forced upon you, which is an economic measure, then it's going to impact on your well-being. So yeah, economically they're getting better because many of those measures aren't there anymore.
No, well, look, there was a lot of draconian economic measures exerted over Cuba, but Cuba was a pumping, happy society. Like,
you don't think the embargoes had a massive impact on Cuba's society and where it could have been if it didn't exist?
Could have been what? Like richer?
No. Again, we can put the terms of reference about whether rich or not. You don't think if America had not put an embargo on Cuba, there wouldn't have been an even more thriving society?
Well, but I'm not sure what you mean by thriving, because
they've still got cars.
So they export medical expertise. They created one of the best medical countries in the world because they had to look after themselves. So they turned inwards and found ways to just ignore what had happened to them.
And how viable is that?
Otherwise.
And how viable is that, like, long term? So where do they get their natural resources from for, like, long term? Like, I know they've done well, and I've got no issue with, you know, they've got education and so forth, but they're being squeezed, right?
Yeah, why are they being persecuted right now? Like, what does America want from them?
Because they are, like Yugoslavia, the same reason. They are the beacon right under America's doorstep, literally.
An alternative,
as a doormat of what alternative can exist to the business that is America. America's not a democracy. They are a business, right? And you've got this doormat underneath there, which, as you're saying...
they tried to snuff out and they didn't snuff out. They survived in spite of them.
But that's my point.
So that's what they've achieved. Like, they've achieved a huge amount.
Yeah, but that's my
since
point. So
survivors.
the fact that America, with all their might, is still trying to squeeze them out, to squeeze every last bit to destroy them. Even Trump's now saying, you know, I'm going to take them over and annihilate them. There is words almost effectively now. So they want to destroy this beacon of what else could be. So, yeah, my point is, if they weren't and allowed to thrive, imagine how much better their lifestyle could be. So I'm not saying what they've done is remarkable in spite of. I am saying it's remarkable in spite of.
Well, if they had been allowed to thrive and no embargoes, they'd just be a little outpost of America like the rest of us, and they wouldn't be self-determining like Australia isn't anymore. So I think they did well with the embargoes myself.
No, I find that condescending to the Cubans to say that, you know, you don't have the fact that they said, no, we'll do it on our own. Then they should have been allowed to say, right, the choice that we've taken, let's say the Castro, etc. regime, to say, right, go and do it on your own. But they weren't allowed.
We see, recently, like now that the oil is no longer flowing to Cuba, even though they use oil to power their electricity grid, so they're having all these blackouts now.
Because they were good allies with Venezuela, obviously, so that's been shut off as well.
Actually, but yeah, Peter, on your point about the US lifestyle versus Cuba, I mean, we've discussed previously on the podcast how America, even calling them capitalist isn't quite the best idea. I prefer to call them consumerist.
Who?
And
America.
Yeah. And so it reminds me as well, George Carlin, I remember he had a quote, something along the lines of, we work at jobs we hate to buy crap we don't need to impress people we don't like. That's essentially the American lifestyle. That's and sure, Kammy, maybe being rich isn't the be all and end all, but I mean, I agree with Peter. It's definitely helpful. I agree that Cuba could have been thriving more if they didn't have these.
I subscribe to the let's say the communist or socialist definition of when people say some socialists or communists don't want anyone to live like a prince, where I'm like, no, I subscribe to that everyone should live like a prince, because we have the resources to allow that, but we make discretionary decisions based on whatever economic systems and political systems we have to not do that.
And that's where you and I differ ideologically, because I don't want everyone to live like a prince, because the earth cannot provide that.
What are you talking? We do. We choose to basically allocate it to what we do now. There's a lot of resources around. We choose to waste it.
Yeah, actually, so Kammy, you're a fan of degrowth, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to tell the listeners who haven't heard of this?
I'm not much of an expert on it, except that I like the sound of it, because for me, the word growth is anathema. So ever since I have been psychologically competent, I've heard our government say growth, we need growth. And the whole world is enslaved to this notion that we must keep growing. And then we were just inching along, growing a little bit, until the 1990s, when the neoliberal paradigm
August Thatcher, Reagan.
Thatcher and Reagan. And in doing that, and actually that was when they took all restraints off corporations. So before that, corporations were obliged to act like humans with dignity and respect and morals and ethics. But the neoliberal paradigm said, no, corporations should not have to do that, because growth and money is the most important thing on the planet for all people, which is what you were saying, that you thrive better with money, and so therefore you thrive even better with even more money. So that's why we've seen this J curve since the 1990s of what corporations are doing, the growth of billionaires, the growth of sex, the growth of capitalism. Just all of this has just been unfettered.
The y-axis is money, sort of.
J-axis is, refugees going up.
Oh, okay.
Wealth going up, billionaires.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Inequality going up. Just everything you want to look at. And of course, the other thing that's going up is degradation of the earth and its systems, absolutely catastrophically going like this. And so...
Yeah. Oh, so I guess, so listeners, if you're not familiar with degrowth, I guess, it's saying that instead of constantly like evolving technology and living cushier lifestyles, what if we cut back on how much electricity we use, that sort of thing?
So growth is what we now have. And is that what we want to keep doing? that growth model has brought us AI, and it's coming in so fast because, it's positive, it's growth. We're all going to do better with it. And actually, so people are just saying that the speed with which it's coming in is outstripping our capacity to actually manage what it is actually going to do for us. So that's growth on steroids as a result of 3 decades of encouraging it to be that way.
I don't know. AI, I find that a difficult example in terms of, things getting out of control and that. I mean, I used to read Isaac Asimov growing up. Many of his stories were in, I think, the 1950s. And many of them are coming exactly true now. And then all these people say, oh, no, AI, we need time to adjust. Like, you were warned, 70 years in advance of what was going to happen. And, if you're not ready, that's on you. That's, okay. Well, especially now, I don't want to name the parties now. I'd always be bashing the same people. But, some of the left-wing parties, we need to ban AI. We need, they're wasting water, they're wasting electricity. And, some of their arguments, we've spoken about it previously, how inconsistent they are. They say Aboriginal people are being all shoved into the same bucket under AI. And then also that, they shouldn't, AI shouldn't be looking at them in the first place. It's that they're being shoved into the same bucket, they're all the same because there's not enough training data about whichever.
I didn't say we should ban AI. I was just used as an example of growth that is just absolutely accelerating, seriously accelerating.
Oh, yes, right. Got these rats.
And AI, there'll be something else after AI whose growth is absolutely accelerated, and you're just going, oh my God, where's this going?
But actually,
is it actually good?
So, Kammy, you mentioned, under the neoliberals, the restrictions on corporations were relaxed and they could basically be evil. But, I'm thinking back to, the Dutch East India Company, the British East India Company. When would you say was the heyday of companies behaving nicely?
That's a really great question. I think the heyday of the companies behaving relatively nicely was probably the 70s and 80s. I think that was when corporations started to become a bit more powerful, become cognizant of their power. Governments became cognizant of their power, thought, okay, let's work together so that what corporations can achieve actually works for people. So there was a bit of socialism in that. Australia particularly had a socialist component to its capitalism, which actually was serving everything pretty well. And then that socialist component was stripped from Western governments by the Thatcher Reagan ideology.
And corporate raiders, they would have been just after this heyday as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So when you say there was a socialist component in the Australian sort of corporate environment, it was the Whitlam government that brought in a lot of change in Australian landscape. He brought in a lot of change, including obviously
Medicare was.
Yeah, there was Medicare, but there was a whole lot of other raft of changes. Post Whitlam, then they started getting stripped back again. I'm not sure.
He brought in free university
education.
Yeah. Wasn't Medicare hawk? Sorry.
Possibly. Yeah. But the Whitlam, he brought in a lot. We could bring in all the stuff that Whitlam brought in changes. And again, he didn't last very long, as we discussed earlier. I'm not sure what the definition of let's say capitalism is not just to make profit, but to increase the rate of profit. Otherwise, you're not going to be viable, right? Especially with your shareholders. So I'm not sure where any corporations, apart from having, code of conduct documents and so forth, acted in a socialist way in Australia. Obviously, Keating brought in superannuation, which some people would argue is probably not even a good thing because it's your money. You should be able to do what you want with it. But that's another discussion. Where do you think corporations in the 70s and 80s acted in a socialist manner?
Well, the unions were getting stronger and stronger to the point where you said that they had to bring in someone to squash them. So there was a socialist component in that, I suppose, of unions actually being equal in power to corporations in dictating.
And we spoke to our Marxist friend that came here, and I said to him, every time where we had a crisis or whether it's war or austerity and the workers, and then it's thought we actually have some leverage in this society, and there's been, let's say, a good union that's marshaled the workers to say, let's unite. And we've got bargaining power here. Okay? That's when the left has actually let themselves down to say, we now need to actually drive this forward. I go, why haven't the left taken charge? You've always just then said, okay, let's relax now. And that's why the neoliberalists have taken over. Now we've seen, especially after post 9/11, then they thought, we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Oh, yeah, the puppet masters, yeah.
Yeah, because then they're like, if we're able to go to war on this myth of fear and terror, and we basically can not only declare war, but then Cheney can go and bring his companies in to rape the country. We don't even have to pretend anymore. Like now you got a pseudo business bankrupt pedophile running the country. And
Trump, his wars, he doesn't even try making up a bit.
And even said from the start with Gaza, I want to build hotels on it. And he's got his son-in-law bargaining with all that. So my point is, they don't even pretend anymore. So I don't think...
It's interesting that you say that, you said that Trump doesn't even bother hiding it.
No, that's what I said. I said after 9/11, they realised we don't have to pretend anymore. So my point is, they never pretended. They always it was always just veneer. I don't think any other capitalist principles, they're ever socialist, because if you are, you're not viable. Your shareholders are going to dump you. So it doesn't exist.
Oh, actually, to be fair, I guess there was a bit of an excuse about Venezuela. Oh, these drug boats coming.
Yeah, they showed the first. That was their kids being thrown overboard moment. We're showing you footage. We're blowing things up. It's murder. But they made out the pretense. The next one is we're in. We've done it.
Yeah. Even I remember that they had the aircraft carrier going towards Venezuela. They were blowing up the quote unquote drug boats. I mentioned to a friend remember, I think it was Chad who was on. We asked him something about the upcoming invasion of Venezuela.
He was indifferent.
But he seemed to be puzzled. Like, what? Invasion of Venezuela? What are you talking about? And then, days later, I don't get it. Like, this is why I pitched to you this bet before about the nuclear bomb. It's like, I think, me and Peter pay attention to the news, but even other political people, they regularly get surprised about these events. There was another, he hasn't been on the podcast here, but there was a former president of another political party. I was chatting with him. I made him a bet that Iran was going to get invaded in February. And, this is a guy who switched on. He used to be, president of a political party, and even he lost this bet. It's...
You're the prophet. Really, okay.
Yeah,
that's
so
the case. We may well be seeing a nuclear bomb within 3 months.
But I hope it doesn't happen. But
well, if there is, I bet you, if there is such a thing as a dirty bomb or a nuclear bomb that goes off, I bet it won't be Israel saying, "Oh yeah, we launched it." It'll be like, "Guess what? Iran has just detonated."
Yes.
Watch out for that one.
Okay. Iran has forced us to drop a
No. Iran.
Yeah, they'll say that Iran did it to themselves.
Yes, we destroyed all their capabilities in that early attack in January, February, whatever it was, except for that one.
Oh, it was the hidden nuclear.
It was the hidden one. It was the hidden one. That's
well, then they can say, "Told you so." See, there was all this stuff. Yeah,
told you, because we didn't tell you everything because we didn't want to alarm you, but there it was. Yeah. So everything that Jehovah told us was true.
Okay, so we need a... That's what I wanted to do my PhD on, after the human rights.
Who are the Semites?
No, why do people... The human condition is to lie. Like, everything about it, everything about our world is built on lies.
Well, because there's austerity. They force austerity, and then it forces people to chase...
And it's all about pursuing one's own agenda, isn't it? So if you've got your agenda and you want to be the one that gains and gets influence and gets power, then everything has to be built on lies.
Actually,
somehow.
on that point, Kammy, you might know today's quote person. So we like to play a game with all the guests. They have to guess who said the quote, how much we agree with it. I don't think you'll agree with it. We'll see. Peter doesn't know the answer either. Viewers, if you'd like to play along, the quote today is, quote unquote, "Everyone sees who you appear to be, few see who you really are."
Oh, that sounds like a watered down version of a Jung saying.
So this guy, not exactly a philosopher, but adjacent to that, yeah. Very well known. You were definitely...
Are you able to say what year that was?
Around the 1700s.
Oh.
very famous in politics. In
Adam Smith.
close, yeah, but more European.
Not Machiavelli. He was earlier.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
Oh, maybe I got the year wrong, but it was
It is
Machiavelli.
Machiavelli.
What year was he?
Ah.
That was around 1700, wasn't it?
So yeah, I think you might be right. So Machiavelli.
You should have said the philosopher formerly known as a philosopher. As a Prince reference.
Oh, okay.
So Machiavelli wrote the book on how
The Prince, yeah.
to be a narcissistic psychopathic winner at anything by falsehoods and aggression and
Winning at all costs, I guess, yeah.
definitely. Which the world has been based on ever since. Go Machiavelli.
Yeah. So I guess actually in terms of, the evil corporations and that, I mean, so we spoke about how, they're messing over like the third world, the global south, as some people call it now. But then even in Australia, I guess, these corporations, sure, we don't notice that, like maybe we're not being oppressed as other people. But, one of the examples I think that people should be aware of how we can resist these evil global corporations and what they're doing to us. So if you go to the supermarket, for instance,
If it says made in Israel, boycott it.
that's true, that's one of the things. But so 50% of packaged food has palm oil. I think it's 50% of packaged products in the supermarket have palm oil.
Processed foods.
Oh, okay, yeah. And so, people might not be aware, but so the way that palm oil typically comes about is always from palm trees, obviously. But they cut down rainforests, burn it away, orangutan habitats, and in I think Indonesia, the Philippines, countries around that region where palms grow the best.
Everyone wants to save the orangutans, but they don't know that everything they're buying in the supermarket is actually contributing.
And so, you see like black smoke in the sky, that sort of thing. So, boycotting palm oil is a good way.
It's a good example, that and the forests are full of fleeing orangutans. We should take in refugee orangutans in Australia.
And put them where the koalas are.
Maybe, I wonder, would orangutans be less likely to get hit by cars than the...
They're easy to spot because they're like fluorescent kind of...
I just want to say you referred to the third world. So when I waltzed into my first tutorial in the human rights thing and I mentioned the third world and it was...
because
I don't say that anymore.
I don't really like any of those terms.
Because we call ourselves the first world and everyone else the third world. That's the wrong impression.
I just wanted to clarify, actually. So I was reading about the history of this. So the first world was basically the US and its allies, the capitalists. And then the second world was the Warsaw Pact countries. So Russia, all the communists. And then so the third world was everyone else. And then over time, it just happened to be that people noticed, like, these third world countries just happened to be poor.
Yeah, that's because everything was going to the first world.
Well, and then so, the term third world then got repurposed.
And so now it's called developed nations and developing nations. And it still implies that these besieged countries still have to develop, grow. They still have to have growth and become financially... But no one actually really wants them to. They just want to keep taking their resources from them.
But I don't like any of these terms, though, because, as you say, like, developing implies that, they're somehow inadequate, incomplete. We were saying with Cuba before, there would be probably people in Cuba who think my country's fine, it doesn't need to evolve at all.
There would be. We don't want to be like America. America believes, because they're told every single day, that everyone in the world wants to be like them, and jihadists are jealous of that and want to destroy it. So, but, there's actually plenty of people. I don't want to be like America. I hope that no one in Australia wants to be like America. But we're kind of getting inevitably dragged that way.
Well, yeah, it reminds me as well, the, soon after 9/11, I remember there was, on this news report or whatever, this woman, an American woman, was saying, why do they hate us? Says it's a big mystery. Like, all the terrorists, they always, have their demands written down and everything. Just read that.
Yeah, but again, it goes to they're having an inquiry into anti-Semitism in Australia and why it's increased over the last 2 years. I'm like, are you fucking blind? What the fuck has been happening over the last 2 years?
Why did it happen? Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
Why are Australians human? Like,
I know, but
Why are people anti-Israel over the last 2 years? What could possibly be happening?
yeah.
although, to be fair, I don't like that, being Jewish versus being Israeli. keep
What
getting
did I
conflated,
say?
yeah.
You conflated what I just said with your bias.
Okay.
I said, why are people against Israel over the last 2 years?
But didn't we say...
I didn't say Jewish. You thought that.
Okay.
So your bias entered into that, conflated into my argument.
Fair enough, yeah.
Well, they,
Yes.
yes, they conflate it to draw on the Holocaust sympathy.
Hence why they then keep saying it's anti-Semitic. No, I didn't make any anti-Semitic comment. I just said the rogue state, the satanic state of Israel. And if they want to make it anti-Semitic, come forward and let's have a discussion about it. Because it's a made-up country, and I'll go through every fact about it.
Every country's a made-up
Yeah,
country.
but that one is the last colonial state that every colonial country is supporting. And I'll fucking have that discussion with anyone.
Actually, can we talk about that? Everything's a made-up state. So, the nation of state borders has caused refugeeism. So now every inch of planet Earth that is land has been assigned to a nation state. So there's no interstices. There's no space between them. And in the old days...
the international waters, yeah.
Yeah, but so if you pushed out of your country, you could go and float around like what Kevin Costner in Waterworld.
Anyway, sorry, let's continue.
But anyway, but historically, like there was the kingdom in Italy. There was the kingdom.
The Magna Carta was the beginning of the change. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was kingdoms, and the kingdoms revolved around cities. So Rome might have been a kingdom, and then there was another city over here at Naples, and another city in
city-states, yeah.
and they had their own dukes and but in between was free land.
Yeah.
So if you didn't get on with your duke, or your duke wanted to kill you for some reason, you could go out to that free land.
Oh, I guess, being exiled, yeah.
Yeah. So you can go out into that free, and the whole of Europe was like that, which is vast, and Russia and Eastern Europe, and I think China was like that too. So everywhere was just concentrated in nodes of governance. You lived within that node, but everywhere else was free country. So people could go free, move anywhere. And now we have these nation states that actually provide no space where someone fleeing can go. We have passports and citizenships and...
You see, actually, so Australia is a signatory to there's some sort of UN charter on stateless people. And so there was, viewers might remember, there was some controversy recently about, like ISIS brides, for instance. The women who, were married to ISIS fighters, they were in Syria. They also had Australian passports. And then, so the question was like, do we bring them back to Australia?
We allow IDF soldiers to come back who actually kill people.
Well, we allow dual citizenship, except of our politicians. So if we allow dual citizenship, the fact that they have Australian passports means we can't... We should take them back.
Also, sorry, the point I wanted to make to viewers was, so there's this agreement with the UN. Not all countries are signatories, but Australia is a signatory. And so we agree that no human should be stateless.
Yes.
Because to your point, Kammy, where are they going to go? Someone has to take responsibility for them.
Right.
And so, sure, I don't like these ISIS brides. I regard them as enemies, but they are Australian.
I don't.
And so they aren't enemies?
No.
Did you consider an IDF soldier an enemy of this state?
Not explicitly an enemy, but
Why?
not in our interests. Not
Oh,
aligned to
okay.
us.
So they've gone over, they're Australian citizen. They've got a dual citizenship with Israel. They're going over there and serving, and realistically, if they're serving there, they've quite possibly killed some innocent people,
Sure. Yeah,
right?
I don't like what they're doing, but they're not.
So under international law, they're probably committed war crime, right? Quite possibly. And so we allow them back because they're part of some national states. And you'll say, well, I don't agree with it, but I'll allow them back. But you're saying some woman because she's a female generally, right, in this state, in this discussion, you're saying she's against our national interest.
No, hang on, sorry. I would bring them both back because they're Australian citizens. But
you said she's an enemy of the state, this woman.
Yeah, I wouldn't like either of them.
But you said you classified her as an enemy of the state, yet the IDF soldier who's a murderer, right?
Yeah.
you'd like, well, I didn't like what he did.
No, hang on. My distinction is just because ISIS was more directly fighting Australia and values.
Well, Australia's values. When did ISIS attack Australia?
Hang on,
ISIS our enemy.
But what do you mean that they profess, destroy the West, destroy all
And
this?
we've just been talking about why they say that, and that it's not because they just don't like us. It's because of what America's doing to them. Why are they going to do that to us?
We invaded them, right?
But hang on, look, just a few months back, there was an ISIS terrorist attack in Australia.
Where?
ISIS is an enemy of Australia.
Where?
Why? How?
They had the ISIS flag.
So if I punch you in the face right now, right, unjustifiably,
And have the ISIS flag.
No. I punch you in the face. Forget ISIS. Put a parenthesis of that discussion. I punch you in the face.
Yeah.
And I walk away, and you come back and retaliate, whether it's with the police, etc. Are you justified in coming back at me with any means you have at your disposal, legally or otherwise?
Oh, well, I mean, you'd get sent to jail in Australia, probably.
Why? Why do you feel you have a need to retaliate?
Well, you can't just let people get away with that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hang on. My point is,
I think the term you're looking for is touche. Let's move on.
Okay. So that one in Bondi, though, that they were targeting their enemy, not Australia, their enemy, Jewish people. That's who they saw as their enemy.
Sorry, they weren't targeting Jewish people. That gathering in Bondi, they were actually a far right gathering. They were even more far right than Netanyahu's group, right? They were collecting.
And included rabbis who had been very...
Signing bombs,
Yeah.
So, again, I'm not advocating, I'm against violence of any description, right? Like, that's why I'm not even in favour of anyone going to economic conscription in the Australian Army. So, but there wasn't some gathering in Bondi that was there for peace and harmony. They knew what they were gathering for and what they were supporting for more IDF killing over there.
Oh, okay.
Right? That group...
Wait, but it was a Hanukkah service.
Yes, but for who?
Oh, okay.
And what collective was there? No one talks about what they were actually sponsoring and who was the rabbis that were there and what they were advocating for and what death they were supporting.
Fundraising.
They were.
I was pretty annoyed actually at the memorial service. They had
And again, I'm not saying what had occurred there was justified, but no one talks about what that gathering and who they were raising money and support for over there.
I was quite annoyed at the memorial service for these victims. They were hanging the Australian flag and the Israeli flag. I really don't think that belonged there. Politically hijacking this event.
Yeah, definitely. Hugely. The whole thing was a nauseating political hijack.
Yeah. Anyway, but sorry, we were talking about a lot of depressing things today, but Kammy, we're running out of time. On a positive note, so we were saying how people can stop some evil in the world. I gave the example of palm oil. Do you have any other examples? How can we, voting for different parties, that could also help. Do you have any other examples for how we can, how people can play their part if they're
It's a really big job to turn around this juggernaut. The juggernaut is in our governments, in our political system. It's taken over, it's subversive, it's powerful. People seem to get caught up in it. How can we wrest back our own sovereignty and be responsible for ourselves and be Australia with Australian values? How? Well, actually it is by voting in small parties, independents, breaking down the uni-party. And One Nation is not an answer to that. We all know that. Because Pauline actually probably doesn't have a grip on any of this at all. She just knows how to create locally, immediately around her, outrage that favours herself. She's in what's the word?
In bed with Gina.
In bed with Gina. She's been to Mar-a-Lago to meet Trump, and she gushed over him. She just sees herself as this.
Oh, but sorry, so we should vote for minor parties, but not One Nation, you're saying?
Yeah. Well, any far-right party, because any far-right minor party is pursuing the neoliberal paradigm, and the neoliberal paradigm is our enemy. ISIS is not our enemy. The neoliberal paradigm is our enemy in every possible way.
Oh, they created ISIS.
Yeah. ISIS is a reaction to that.
Oh, they funded them.
That as well, okay. Yeah. Well, so what can we do? What can we do? That's number one. Calling out the hypocrisy, whenever we see it. And that's the good thing about social media, is that is getting done a lot. There's a lot of people who confuse their cookerism with calling out the hypocrisy, and they kind of almost, I wonder if they're being funded because they kind of push the agenda of the uni party inadvertently by saying, oh, we're being controlled. There's these people who are, there is this cabal that's controlling us all. Yeah, and it's the lefties. The lefties, they're taking our lifestyle away, they're controlling us all, and they're manipulating us. But actually, there's no power within the left to do that. All the power is on the right, and that is the media, corporations, everything. They are controlling everything. The left is just this little non-entity, really, in terms of being able to manipulate and control people. So, but it's been an incredibly effective campaign by the right to demonize the left. And I would just like people to be aware that that's what it is. The whole global hatred of communism and socialism is also a manipulation of us all by capitalism to make us all hate it and fear it and feel terrorized by it. And so, just mild little leftiness in your town is also demonized. Sorry.
On this note, so viewers, if you want to...
wasn't very positive.
Free
So yes, don't buy the propaganda.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Kammy, for joining us today.
That's a pleasure. I wish I could have been more hopeful on that note.
Okay. Bye, viewers. Okay.